Hey guys, I'm Yoon from sunny Southern California, and today I'm going to make for you my wasabi edamame fish tostadas, and with, of course, Philadelphia cream cheese, which I put on a pedestal for you. We're going to start off by slicing up a pound of red cabbage, which in my case was actually half a head of a small cabbage. So you may notice that this cabbage is really crunchy and stiff. And this is going to be the topping that goes on your tostada. So I have a little trick to make it a little bit softer and sweeter. Throw it into a colander, then add a half teaspoon of kosher salt. Just sprinkle it over. And then you're going to get a little intimate with your cabbage. Give it a massage. Make sure that all the grains of salt coat all of that cabbage. And that's about it. You're just going to set it aside to do its thing for 20 minutes. But by the time you do everything else, it'll be ready. Hopefully some of the water will drain out and it'll be softer. Next, you're going to make your dressing that's going to go on top of the cabbage when it's done. So you're going to grab some rice vinegar that's unseasoned, 4 tablespoons, and then 4 tablespoons of olive oil. And you might notice that I kept the measuring spoon in here because I want to add 1 tablespoon of honey, and I want it to be able to slip out easily. And the olive oil that's in the spoon will help to do that. So you're not going to be struggling. See? Look how easily it just plops out. That's it. You don't even need to add salt because of the salt that's on the cabbage. So just give it a nice hefty little whisk and set it aside. Okay, now you're going to move on to the most important step of the dish, which is making the edamame puree. And it's going to happen in 2 parts. One is grab your 2 cups of frozen edamame, which are just soybeans. And then you grab 1 cup of chicken stock, pour it over, and then put it on high. And then you just wait for it to boil. And once it boils, you just let it cook for about 2 minutes, kind of just blanching the edamame. Now let me take a minute to explain why I chose to make such an interesting recipe. Well, I have a food blog, and on there I made up a recipe called Spicy Fish Tostadas that ended up being a huge hit. And I think it's because, well, I got influenced from living in California. My husband and I moved here about 2 years ago, and since then I just discovered that a lot of California cuisine is based on fusion of different cultures. And I think that's just a brilliant idea. So this is kind of like my spin of Mexican and Asian cultures coming together. And this is why I've decided to make my wasabi edamame fish tostadas. As you can see here, the edamame has been boiling for 2 minutes. Turn it off and add it right into the bowl of a food processor or a blender with the stock and all. Okay? And then you're going to grab 1 clove of garlic that's been very coarsely chopped. Add the lid. And just let it whirl. Okay, at this point, the consistency is really smooth. Look at that, it's beautiful green. And you're just gonna get your 8 ounces of softened Philadelphia cream cheese. Okay, add that. Along with a teaspoon of wasabi paste. And this will give it a little bit of that heat and extra Asian flavor. It pairs really well with this whole mixture. Kind of has a little kick, like a spicy horseradish taste. Pop on the lid, go again. So you're just gonna keep doing this for about another minute or so until it's nice and smooth and well incorporated. So now, your puree is nicely, beautifully green and smooth, like this, see? And I'm just gonna pour it into a bowl, set it aside, and move on to my fish. Okay, so I seasoned my tilapia fillets lightly with salt and pepper on both sides, and then I heated up a skillet with olive oil and put it over high heat. Oh yeah, like that sizzle. The add in about 3 at a time. We're gonna make 6 in total. You don't want to overcrowd your pan. And you're just gonna time it for 3 minutes on one side, and then you're gonna flip it and then do it for 2 minutes on the other. So the fish have been flipped, and they cooked 3 minutes on the first, and then flipped, and they're 2 minutes on the second side. Gonna move them. And keep them warm with some aluminum foil. And then you can choose to drizzle a little bit more oil. And then add the next batch. And repeat. 3 minutes on the first, 2 minutes on the second. Okay, now we're all done, so it's just time to assemble the tostadas. So our edamame puree made with the Philadelphia cream cheese has been nicely resting, covered, so it stayed warm. And then remember that cabbage that we put the salt over so that it would turn softer? It really did. It's a little bit more tender now. And you're just gonna get that dressing that we made ahead of time. Give it one last whisk and pour the whole thing over. And then when you give it a little toss, it's gonna slightly pickle that cabbage so it's even more succulent. Then there's nothing left but to assemble everything together. You're gonna grab your plates. And in this case, I'm only gonna plate 2, even though this is enough for 6, because it's just my husband and I eating lunch today. Grab your tostadas. You can get these at the store. They're just fried corn tortillas. Okay. See this puree? Once it stands, it gets a little bit thicker, but it's not gonna be too thick. It's just kind of like a hummus consistency. And it's so beautifully green and fragrant. So this creamy, spicy, luxurious sauce is what really pulls everything together, and it just goes so well with all of the elements and textures. It's a nice, generous dollop in the center. Then you're gonna grab your fish, and I like to keep it whole just because of the presentation. Put it on top. Ooh, so beautiful. Then you're just gonna grab some of that pickled cabbage, put it right on top, and I love the contrast of color. That's why I chose red cabbage. You can always use just plain green cabbage, but I mean, if you want to go for that shock value, go for this. But you're not done yet. I always think that presentation is the key to everything. So not only does this lime serve as presentation and garnish, but it's also very important for squeezing on top of the tostada. And then of course you want to use a garnish of some fresh chopped cilantro. Just give it a nice scattering all over the top. Oh my gosh. Seriously, this looks so beautiful. Okay. And then what I like to do is, tostadas traditionally you're meant to just kind of pick the whole thing and eat it like a sandwich or something, but I think it's too messy. So I like to just give it a crack with my fork, and it's so satisfying to hear that crunchy crack. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then you grab it, and you can of course eat it like a salad with your fork, all dainty and ladylike, but I like to just enjoy it as fancy nachos. Give it a little squeeze first. Yeah, okay. Here it goes. Got every single layer. I mean, is it bad manners to like really love your food? It's so good. I really hope you try it for yourself, because I don't think that you'll be dissatisfied. I think you'll really enjoy it. Thank you for spending your time with me today, and I hope you try out my tostadas.